Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into the deep end of Neville Goddard's metaphysics. We're going to explore a really radical mental framework, how completely rewiring your inner reality can instantly move you from a state of paralyzing fear to one of absolute, undeniable empowerment.
But let's be real for a second and confront a massive roadblock right out of the gate. Why is it that our brains always seem to jump to the worst-case scenario? Human psychology is basically hardwired for fear and self-protection. When we face uncertainty, we naturally just anticipate disaster, right? But Goddard's teachings suggest that this defensive mechanism actually sabotages our reality, turning the exact things we're so afraid of into self-fulfilling prophecies. The source material highlights a really huge insight here. Living in constant fear essentially gives us psychological tunnel vision. It completely blinds us to the truth. When we're caught up in anxiety, we literally lose vital information in our environment. I mean, think about it in your own life. How many incredible opportunities or blessings have you missed just because they showed up cloaked as a temporary delay or some unexpected pivot, and your fear brain instantly mislabeled them as threats? Which brings us to the core problem we need to look at: doing the right things, but from the completely wrong state of mind. Goddard explains that so many people feel incredibly stuck because they're trying to force change. They're doing the laborious praying, the endless visualizations, repeating affirmations until they're blue in the face, but they're operating from an underlying state of panic and lack. They desperately hope it works, but secretly fear it won't. And that's where the law of assumption comes in. This isn't just a cute motivational trick to pump you up for 5 minutes. This is a metaphysical foundation. It dictates that what you persistently assume and believe with absolute conviction literally becomes the life you experience. Your inner convictions completely dictate your outer reality.
All right, let's peel back a deeper layer here and look at the sheer power of inner storytelling. The narratives we silently repeat to ourselves are really the key to everything.
Goddard illustrates this perfectly through 2 incredible anecdotes. First, consider a woman who was just totally broken, begging and praying from a place of severe lack. Nothing changed for her until she shifted her state to living from the end, walking into rooms with quiet confidence, assuming the change had already occurred. And the outcome? A new job, restored health, and deep inner peace. Contrast her with a man who constantly anticipated doom. He saw every minor inconvenience as a sign of failure, and guess what? His car broke down and his relationships crumbled. But the moment he shifted to assuming that everything works out for him, with absolute certainty, his reality flipped. Unexpected checks arrived, new opportunities opened up, and he literally became a new person.
This brings us to an absolute mic drop of a realization. You do not change the reflection by scratching the mirror. Think about how much energy we waste trying to force the outside world to change, trying to control other people, manipulate events, or just hustle harder, without ever changing our inner atmosphere. The outer world is literally just a mirror of your inner assumptions. So, how do we fix this? We have to make a shift. We must completely change our inner perspective.
We have to stop letting the physical world dictate our feelings. Goddard constantly challenges us to ignore the evidence of the senses. Your physical senses are only showing you the residue of your past assumptions. They just show you what has been. Instead, we have to trust the kingdom within. We have to rely on the eyes of the spirit, our imagination, to see what must be. You've got to plant your feet firmly in your assumption, even when the facts are screaming otherwise.
Let's apply this to everyday life by reframing what the source calls sensory detours. You know the ones: an empty bank account, a delay at the airport, a painful rejection, an unexpected bill. Normally, our fear brain instantly labels these as disasters or punishments, but Goddard urges us to flip the script. If your underlying assumption is that everything works out for you, then that airport delay isn't a problem at all. It's a divine redirection. That rejection, just a necessary stepping stone for your highest good. And all of this hinges on one simple, profoundly powerful phrase: feeling is the secret. Goddard emphasizes that the true key, the true form of prayer, really, isn't about the specific words you say. It's about letting the feeling of the fulfilled wish entirely saturate your being. You have to capture the exact feeling of relief and gratitude you'd have if your problem was already solved, and hold on to it until it feels way more real than your current physical circumstances.
Okay, let's get into the action phase. Let's look at the practical steps to actually command your reality.
The beauty of this philosophy is that it's not just abstract theory. Goddard gives us a super clear, practical framework to test this law in your own life today. Here's the exact process. First, pick just one specific situation in your life right now that feels uncertain. Second, Close your eyes and clearly see the final outcome you desire. Skip the middle steps, just focus on the end result. Third, and this is absolutely crucial, dwell in the feeling of relief. Feel the absolute certainty that it is already done. And fourth, walk through your day ignoring the contradictory evidence of the outer world. By doing this, you stop struggling against the tide, and you just watch life rearrange itself to reflect your new conviction.
And honestly, please let this be a massive relief to you. Keep it simple. Goddard makes it explicitly clear that we shouldn't overcomplicate this law with elaborate, exhausting rituals. You do not need to light a special candle, you don't need to wait for the perfect astrological moon phase, and you definitely don't need to robotically repeat affirmations 100 times a day. It requires only your imagination and your willingness to mentally enter and stay in the state of your fulfilled desire. It's just a silent agreement with the universe.
To maintain this state, especially when external storms are raging, you have to completely overhaul your inner conversation, the stuff you say to yourself when absolutely no one else is watching. Catch yourself when you start doubting, and replace those thoughts with powerful inner declarations. Tell yourself, I am always supported. I am guided. Life loves me. Things always work out for me. Speak these until they become your dominant vibration.
Which brings us to our ending, what the source material beautifully refers to as your final awakening.
Let's look at this spectacular quote. You are not a victim of fate. You are a creator of form. It's an incredible reminder that your world is quite literally clay in your hands. You're the author, the director, the lead actor. Life isn't just randomly happening to you, it is actively happening through you, and when you align yourself correctly, it is happening for you.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to really test for yourself today. If you knew with unwavering certainty that everything was rigged in your favor, that your success was absolutely guaranteed, what risks would you take? What steps would you stop delaying right now? Step into that version of yourself today, act from that state of ultimate trust, and just watch how the world has absolutely no choice but to catch up to your new reality. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.